For every 1 litre of fluid that is filtered by the kidneys, the body only produces 1 ml of that in urine. So you think how often a dog or even a cat urinates during the day. Think how much work those kidneys have to do to create that urine. Does anybody know how much percentage-wise damage a kidney can receive before your patient starts to show clinical signs? Anybody know? Oh, Holly, you're close. Well done. Yeah, Heather, it's about 75%. So you can, when you get your patients coming into practice and they're coming in for their pre-operation checks, or they're coming in for their admits for their operations, and you're offering out your pre-anaesthetic blood tests, it's a really good thing to remember to advise owners of, okay? So your kidneys have to be working at less than 75% for your patient to show clinical signs, so to start drinking more and urinating more and potentially going off their food. So they've only got, at that point, 25% of their kidneys working. And that's why regular blood samples and blood checks are so important, especially in your slightly older animals, because we're not going to see the effects of that usually until it's too late. Okay, a little bit of maths here for you. The calculation that you use to identify how much urine a healthy patient should be producing is 1 to 2 mils per kilo per hour. So I'd like you to have a go. Once you've done the calculations, change, that was supposed to be a smiley face. Why it's turned into a paradise island is actually absolutely beyond me, because it's definitely not in the PowerPoint. Have a go at these calculations, okay? So remember this, and see if you can work out how much urine a healthy 2 kilo cat would produce in one whole day, how much a healthy 25 kilo dog would produce in one day, and then do this final calculation. Don't pop your answers in the public chat just yet. Have a go and change your status to a smiley face once you've done it, and then we'll go through them.
You are now muted. You are now unmuted.
If you can't use your status change, you can just put done in the public chat or something like that, okay? Absolutely, Emma. So basically, with the kidneys, 75% of the kidneys need to have stopped working before they're going to start showing, the patient is going to start showing clinical signs. So you'd pick up the fact that they're not working on a blood sample, but before they start showing the physical clinical signs of kidney problems, they're going to have lost 75% of their usage. Okay, so only 25% of your kidneys are going to be working, or they're only going to be working at 25% efficiency, should I say. So they can deteriorate massively before your patient starts to lose and starts to show the sort of the ability, the disability, should I say. So when you get a client that comes in for a pre-anaesthetic check, for example, or an admit, and you offer them a blood sample just to check that everything's working okay, and they decline that blood sample because they say that their dog is healthy, and they say, oh no, she's perfectly fine, she eats fine, she drinks fine, she's dead active. It's something to think about mentioning to the owners and saying, well, you don't know for definite if there's going to be a problem unless we do this blood sample, because they're not actually going to show any problems until their kidneys are working at only 25% efficiency. And therefore, they could develop problems, and they could have problems excreting the general anaesthetic from their bodies. But without doing the pre-anaesthetic blood test, we're not going to know that, and we wouldn't know to put them on fluids to help them with that. It's always a good one to mention. Some people will still decline the offer, but if you've told them this, then it's all part of that informed consent that you learnt about in VNO1. Okay, if you didn't tell them that, and they still had problems, and then blood samples were done potentially afterwards, there's no reason that the owner couldn't say, well, nobody told me that, the kidneys could potentially not be working properly, even though she's not showing any clinical signs. So it's always worth mentioning to the owners, just so that they're aware and they're making a proper informed decision on whether they do or don't want the blood samples. Shouldn't that be the vet's job? All animals should have a pre-anaesthetic check with the vet first before they have surgery. However, if you were going to cover your own back properly, Rebecca, and you were the one doing the admit, you should still always bring it up, just like you should still always offer the blood sample at admit just in case. If you're doing your admits. Yeah, exactly. So if you have another discussion with the owner, you're just covering both yours and the vet's back, really, making sure that they're aware of all the facts before they sign the consent form. Okay, we're just waiting on a few more people to change their status. I'm going to give you 1 more minute. Oh, you're welcome. And then we'll move on. Oh, these are coming through thick and fast now, fab.